Chapter 55-62. With the arrival of the three elders of the Holy Land of Five Extremes Mysterious Ice, the whole matter was finally over. Su Feibai, Pu Tianhua, and the others were all punished. Su Feibai, who was the most severely punished, would be confined for 3 years after he returned, not allowed to go out. As for the others, although their punishment was not as severe, it was not good either. At the very least, they had left a bad impression in the eyes of the three elders. Moreover, they would all be confined for a few months. In particular, the female disciple who had been clinging to Kong Xinmu was directly confined for 2 years, only 1 year less than Su Feibai's punishment. How unbearable! Just like that, the group of people was sent back. As for the 3 elders, 2 of them went to send Su Feibai and the others back. The remaining elder with the mirror of retrospection went to find Xueqi and the others. Now that Kong Xinmu was devouring the demon Qi rift, he did not come to disturb him. It was the same to tell some things to Xueqi. How vexing! I'm already so old, but I didn't expect the younger generation to be so spoiled. The elder sighed and looked in the direction of Kong Xinmu. Only Kong Xinmu can become the pillar of our holy land in the future. By the way, what is he doing? He was a little curious about Kong Xinmu's situation. He's devouring the demon Qi rift. Xueqi answered. This answer made the elder's eyes light up. Devouring the demon Qi rift. Was there such a powerful technique? It was not just this elder. Even Yu Tiangshang and the other 2 women were a little surprised. They did not know that the demon Qi rift could be devoured. Amazing, amazing! Heroes come from the young. The elder nodded in satisfaction. The more he looked at Kong Xinmu, the more he found him pleasing to the eye. From the scene of the mirror of retrospection just now, he could see that Kong Xinmu did not use any heaven and earth holy items at all. The reason he could defeat so many 9th-tier transcendent god monsters was because Kong Xinmu was strong enough. Most importantly, he must have a good character. Kong Xinmu didn't get angry even when faced with a scoundrel like Su Feibai. In fact, if Kong Xinmu got angry on the spot, he could have seriously injured Su Feibai. But Kong Xinmu did not. He was just waiting for the elders of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land to come and deal with it. From this, it could be seen that Kong Xinmu's character was very good. This further deepened the elders' feeling that heroes come from youth. I am Luo Yufeng. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you can come to the sacred land to find me, the elder said with a smile. However, with Kong Xinmu's talent, I'm afraid that this old man won't be able to help him for long. He looked at Kong Xinmu as if he was looking at a treasure. To him, Kong Xinmu represented the future of the 5 extremes dark ice holy land. In fact, with the talent that Kong Xinmu was currently displaying, he would probably break through to the supreme level sooner or later. When that time came, he would have to look up to Kong Xinmu. Of course, in the eyes of this elder, Luo Yufeng, it would definitely take a very long time for Kong Xinmu to break through to the supreme level. It was impossible for him to be so fast. However, he did not know that the supreme level was far from the end for Kong Xinmu. His real focus was the ancestral dragon. Therefore, even if he became a dragon martial artist with a dragon soul, Kong Xinmu would not stop, let alone the supreme level. Soon, Elder Luo Yufeng left. As for Kong Xinmu, the process of devouring the demonic Qi rift was also nearing its end. The demonic Qi rift he devoured this time was much stronger than the previous one. This was because at least 6 9th-tier transcendent god monsters had emerged from this demonic Qi rift. Every time a monster of this level appeared, it would make the demonic Qi rift stronger. To Kong Xinmu, this powerful demonic Qi rift was a great supplement. All of its power was devoured by Kong Xinmu and integrated into his body. After being transformed by the devouring power, he could even improve his cultivation. Not only did it deepen Kong Xinmu's understanding of the space attribute void power, but it also made his devouring power purer, thus improving the realm of the dragon god race's inheritance. 5th-tier transcendent god. I can break through now. Kong Xinmu did not expect his breakthrough speed to be so fast. However, this was normal. After all, in terms of the demon god race's inheritance, he had obtained the 16-winged heavenly demon god's inheritance and had already cultivated to the 5th-tier transcendent god level. Moreover, Kong Xinmu had already consolidated and familiarized himself with this level of power. Therefore, now that the dragon god race's inheritance had improved, it was like taking advantage of the situation for him. There was no sense of obstruction at all, and everything was going with the flow. Moreover, he did not need to consolidate this level of power because he was already able to use this level of power like a finger. The dragon god race is still stronger. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. In the inheritance of the 16-winged heavenly demon god, Kong Shinmu had broken through to the 5th-tier transcendent god level, which was why he had the combat power of a peak transcendent god. With the devouring dragon god race's inheritance, he had already reached the peak transcendent god level when he was only at the 4th-tier transcendent god level. After all, the devouring power was the inherent power of the dragon god race's inheritance. When using the demon god race's inheritance power, the devouring power could not be fully exerted. It's a pity that the devouring of this demonic chi rift is not as great as the dragon scale I devoured previously. Kong Shinmu felt that it was a pity. However, there was more than one demonic chi rift. Currently, the entire dragon martial continent was filled with such demonic chi rifts. Demonic creatures of various levels of strength constantly emerged and surged toward the dragon ceiling abyss. These demonic chi rifts were Kong Shinmu's targets. He turned around and met up with Xueqi, Yu Tianchong, and the others. In that case, follow me. If stronger demonic creatures appear, I can deal with them. You can help me get rid of some of the demonic creatures that are obstructing me. Kong Shinmu decided to act with the 4 women. As the 4 women were a little slow, in order to buy time, Kong Shinmu let them return to their human forms and stand on the neck of his divine dragon body. This was the same as Xueqi. Thus, a black divine dragon that was hundreds of feet long flew toward another demonic chi rift in the distance. 4 beautiful girls were standing on the neck of his divine dragon. Feeling the scenery around them constantly moving backward and the wind blowing, Yu Tianchong could not help but feel a little emotional. She recalled the first time she met Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu was still her junior brother. But now he had grown much stronger than her. Chapter 55-63. Kong Shinmu led the 4 women forward. Along the way, if they encountered any demonic cracks, they would directly devour them. If there were any powerful demonic creatures, he would naturally deal with them. However, as long as they were not too strong, he would leave them to the 4 women to deal with. This would save Kong Shinmu time and allow him to devour other demonic cracks faster. It would also allow the 4 women to gain some experience and improve their combat experience. Soon, a day had passed. Kong Shinmu and the others had cleared 7 or 8 demonic cracks along the way. Unfortunately, these demonic cracks did not contain much energy, so they did not have much effect on Kong Shinmu's improvement. He took the time to break through the realm of the Dragon God clan's inheritance and reached the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. His combat strength had skyrocketed again, allowing him to fight against some demonic creatures at the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God realm. He did not even need the 33 Heavens Divine Feather to warm up. With a single blow, he would be able to kill that demonic creature. Then, all the demonic energy was devoured by Kong Shinmu and turned into nourishment for him to restore the power he had consumed. Even at night, Kong Shinmu and the others did not stop to rest. Instead, they continued to clear the demonic vortex, all the way to the sealed dragon abyss. As there were too many demonic cracks, Kong Shinmu was not in a hurry to go to the sealed dragon abyss. There were the most experts there, so he did not have to worry about the sealed dragon abyss being breached. One night passed. At dawn, Kong Shinmu continued to move forward with the 4 women. Soon, they arrived at a mountain range with extremely dense demonic energy. They could feel that there were probably several demonic cracks in this mountain range at the same time. Moreover, many demonic creatures had already emerged, and they were not weak. All of you, be careful. In addition to the demonic energy, I also feel that there are many experts inside. Kong Shinmu said solemnly, I'll go in and take a look first. If they are in danger, I'll save them. Okay. Yu Tianchong and the others nodded and stopped on a mountain peak at the edge of the mountain range. They watched as Kong Shinmu flew into the mountains. They were not worried about his safety. After all, Kong Shinmu's battle prowess was too strong. He could kill a supreme god-level demonic being in one blow, let alone others. Moreover, even if a supreme being were to appear, Kong Shinmu would definitely have a way to kill the other party. Very soon, Kong Shinmu transformed into a black dragon and flew towards the valley. He could hear a series of dragon roars from afar. All kinds of energies exploded in the mountain range, and demonic energy kept bursting out, spreading out waves of demonic energy. When Kong Shinmu turned around to call, he discovered that in the mountain range ahead, there were indeed 3 connected devil chi cracks. There was even some connection between these 3 demonic energy rifts. Some of the demonic energy was connected to each other, strengthening each other. This allowed the 3 demonic chi rifts to pass through more powerful demonic creatures faster. At this moment, there was a team of dragon martialists in the field. This team of dragon martialists had a total of 8 people, all of whom could be considered supreme god-level experts. The strongest one was only a 6th-tier supreme god, and it seemed like he was not from the 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. Instead, he was from other holy lands. Now that the dragon martial continent was in such a situation, the dragon god's great world naturally sent all the holy lands over. On the one hand, they could increase their combat level, and on the other hand, they could receive rewards from the Dragon Soul Holy Tower. He's only a 6th-tier supreme god, and yet he brought his team to the vicinity of these 3 demonic energy rifts. He's too careless. Kong Shinmu looked at the 8 gathered dragon martialists in the field. They all transformed into their divine dragon forms and unleashed their strongest defensive means. These defensive powers gathered together and joined forces, and only then did they manage to resist the attacks of the surrounding demonic creatures. Kong Shinmu saw this and knew that these people would not be able to hold on for long. He immediately charged into the battle circle. On the battlefield, the strongest demonic creature was only at the 7th-tier supreme god level. Kong Shinmu directly targeted this demonic creature and unleashed the extreme Heaven's Might Dragon Soul. The pitch-black dragon soul brought with it layers of air waves as it swept out and instantly hit the 7th-tier supreme god demonic creature. At this moment, the demonic energy exploded. The demonic creature could not withstand Kong Shinmu's terrifying attack at all. It was directly shattered by the extreme Heaven's Might Dragon Soul, and waves of demonic energy dissipated in all directions. At the same time, the 8 supreme god-level dragon martialists who were surrounded by demonic creatures were overjoyed when they saw this. Great, someone is here to help us. That's not right. I feel that this person is clearly only a 5th-tier supreme god. How did he kill the leader of the demonic creatures with a single strike? There are many geniuses who can challenge those of a higher level these days. This person should be a genius. Why do I feel that he looks a little like Kong Shinmu from the 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land? Everyone discussed animatedly, their faces filled with joy. To them, the current situation was very urgent. Although they had already informed the elders and experts of the Holy Land to come and support them, it would probably take a long time for them to arrive. If Kong Shinmu had not appeared, some of them would probably not be able to hold on much longer. Now, even though Kong Shinmu had only killed one of the 7th-tier supreme god demonic creatures, the pressure on them had been greatly reduced. Let's charge in the direction of the reinforcements together. The leader of the dragon martialists immediately shouted and took the lead to roar out a thunderous dragon breath, forcing a demonic creature on the way away. The others followed closely behind him and rushed out of the encirclement of the demonic creatures. Soon, they would be able to meet up with Kong Shinmu. Thank you for helping us out. May I ask if you are senior brother Kong Shinmu from the 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land? There were a total of 5 men and 3 women. When they came to meet up with Kong Shinmu, their eyes were filled with gratitude. That's me. Kong Shinmu nodded. As his pitch-black divine dragon body passed through the crowd, he said in a deep voice, "You guys retreat first. Leave this to me." He charged directly toward the large group of demonic creatures that were chasing behind him. At this moment, the expressions of the many dragon martialists changed when they saw his actions. As expected of the rumored Kong Shinmu. He's actually so bold. He should be confident, right? How confident can he be? That's dozens of demonic creatures. Just because he was able to kill that 7th-tier supreme god demonic creature doesn't mean that he can deal with so many demonic creatures at the same time. That's right. Those demonic creatures were all focused on us just now. As long as his attack is strong enough, he can kill that 7th-tier supreme god demonic creature. But now, he wants to face so many demonic creatures alone. How is that possible? Chapter 55-64. The dragon warriors were all in disbelief as they observed Kong Shinmu from afar. They didn't dare to help Kong Shinmu at all. because the despair they felt when they were surrounded by the demonic creatures was too terrifying. None of them wanted to experience it a second time. At this moment, as they watched Kong Shinmu face the large group of supreme god-level demonic creatures, they were extremely shocked and bewildered. Could Kong Shinmu really fight against so many demonic creatures? They were all extremely nervous. As Kong Shinmu was about to clash with the large group of demonic creatures, none of them dared to speak. Their eyes were filled with nervousness. Come on! In front of Kong Shinmu, there were 40 to 50 supreme god-level demonic creatures, ranging from the 1st to the 5th level of the supreme god level. These demonic creatures were nothing in front of Kong Shinmu. But Kong Shinmu didn't care. To him, all these demonic creatures together could not hurt him at all. Finally, the group of demonic creatures swept over in a frenzy, releasing waves of violent demonic energy in midair. Waves of demonic aura and demonic energy surged towards Kong Shinmu. The overwhelming demonic energy surged over and instantly enveloped Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body. In an instant, Kong Shinmu's entire divine dragon body was engulfed by the surging demonic energy. This scene caused the hearts of the 8 dragon warriors behind him to tremble. The group of demonic creatures' terrifying attack was actually so terrifying. If they had encountered such a terrifying joint attack just now, they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. Fortunately, when they were fighting with the demonic creatures just now, they had separated the demonic creatures into several battlefields and were not able to join forces. Otherwise, they would have been killed long ago. And at this moment, how is Kong Shinmu? I hope he's fine. He was so cool when he saved us just now. Does he look like he's going to be fine? With such violent demonic creatures attacking together, even a 6th or 7th tier transcendent god wouldn't be able to withstand it, let alone a 5th tier transcendent god. I think so too. Those monsters are so violent that they are definitely not something that a 5th level transcendent god realm dragon warrior can resist. What do we do now? Should we run? Let's retreat first. We can't help Kong Shinmu in any way. Let's retreat to a safe area and wait for the Holy Land's elders to come. They were very grateful to Kong Shinmu. But looking at Kong Shinmu, who was now engulfed by the boundless demonic chi, they felt helpless. If they had a way, they wouldn't have been surrounded by those demonic creatures just now. He's overconfident. He should have left with us earlier. A slender female dragon warrior sighed. Now there was no other way. They could only wait for the elders of the Holy Land to arrive. However, just as they turned around and were about to leave, Kong Shinmu, who had been attacked by the demonic creatures and had been enveloped by countless demonic chi, suddenly let out a violent dragon roar. The dragon roar resounded through the sky. Then, a wave of devouring power spread out in all directions, forming a devouring vortex that sucked in the dozens of demonic creatures. Heaven-devouring thousand-directional break. The terrifying devouring vortex spread out in all directions with Kong Shinmu's black dragon body as the center. Heaven-devouring dragon martial technique. At this moment, some unique dragon martial techniques appeared in Kong Shinmu's mind. They were specially compatible with his devouring talent and could perfectly unleash the attack power of his devouring talent. Thousand-directional break was the easiest move to comprehend among these devouring dragon martial techniques. This move condensed the devouring power into a devouring vortex, devouring all the power and living beings in the surroundings and turning them into nutrients for Kong Shinmu. It was perfect to use in a one versus many situation. The heaven-devouring dragon martial technique that Kong Shinmu used now, thousand-directional break, was only at the level that he had just comprehended. The initial level was the human level. If he could comprehend it to the earth level, dragon level, or even the heaven level, it would undoubtedly become extremely terrifying. After all, this was an inherited dragon martial technique that belonged to the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, right? At this point, Kong Shinmu's combat power was finally sufficient to obtain some unique dragon martial techniques. When he used the simplest heaven-devouring thousand-directional break, all the devouring power in his body condensed and formed a terrifying vortex around the black dragon body. Thousand-directional break vortex formed. The dozens of demonic creatures that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws were sucked into the vortex at the same time. In the process of being sucked in, the devouring power was constantly tearing at the bodies of the demonic creatures. The terrifying power was quickly unbearable for these demonic creatures. In the end, these demonic creatures exploded one by one in the thousand-directional break vortex, turning into countless devil chi fragments. These devil chi fragments were all sucked into the center of the vortex. The center of the vortex. This was the root of the 1000-directional break martial technique. The endless devouring power sucked in the remains of the surrounding demonic creatures, turning them into the purest devil chi and being devoured by the devouring power. All the demonic creatures were torn to pieces by the 1000-directional break martial technique. All the power was sucked in by the devouring vortex, turning into the purest power in Kong Shinmu's body. After this move, not only did Kong Shinmu not consume much power, but he also felt a little full because of the devoured devil chi. After a long time, the 1000-directional break devouring vortex finally dissipated slowly. The group of young dragon martialists from the other sacred lands widened their eyes when they saw this scene. They couldn't believe that this scene was real. Kong Shinmu actually killed that group of demonic creatures. It was simply unbelievable. How is this possible? He's only at the 5th level of the transcendent god realm. So many of us couldn't resist that group of demonic creatures, but he actually resisted it alone? You're wrong. How is this resisting? He crushed that group of demonic creatures. Isn't this man too terrifying? As expected of a super genius who can reverse the situation of the entire 5 extremes dark ice holy land. They all recalled the time when the sacred lands were competing in the Dragon Soul Sacred Tower. Kong Shinmu had single-handedly pulled up the ranking of the 5 extremes dark ice holy land. What kind of terrifying talent was this? Previously, they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, so they didn't have a deep impression of Kong Shinmu. But now, when they witnessed with their own eyes that Kong Shinmu was able to destroy so many demonic creatures with one move, they were convinced. Chapter 55-65. All of a sudden, everyone was amazed and convinced. They were convinced by Kong Shinmu's battle prowess. When they thought that Kong Shinmu was about to be killed, they couldn't help but smile bitterly. They had no idea how strong Kong Shinmu was. It's a pity that our holy land doesn't have such a genius. What's a pity? They're all geniuses of our dragon gods. I'll be a fan of senior brother Shenwu in the future. He's too strong. He took care of so many demonic creatures with one move. Most importantly, he's only at the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. In comparison, a 5th level Supreme God is too weak. Everyone started to discuss. But soon, their expressions changed slightly. They could clearly see that a stronger demonic creature had appeared in each of the 3 demonic chi cracks in the valley ahead. There were a total of 3. All of them had the strength of an 8th level Supreme God. They had actually moved out together. In the eyes of these dragon martial artists, an 8th level Supreme God was an opponent that they could never defeat. One had to know that among the group of demonic creatures just now, there was only one 7th level Supreme God. The rest were at most 5th level Supreme God. They couldn't hold on any longer. Now that an 8th level Supreme God had appeared, how could they be a match for it? It's over. This 8th level Supreme God is not just a little stronger than the previous demonic creatures. Senior brother Kong Shinmu, quickly retreat with us. The elders of our holy land should be here soon. We were saved by senior brother Kong Shinmu this time. We have to treat him to a good meal later. I'm just afraid that he won't do us the honor. Haha. After all, senior brother Kong Shinmu must be very busy. They were already discussing what to do next. To them, they didn't even consider the 8th level Supreme God demonic creatures as opponents that they should face. Therefore, they were already thinking of escaping this place. They were still quite far from the 3 demonic chi cracks, so it wouldn't be easy for the 3 8th level Supreme God demonic creatures to catch up to them. It would be easy for them to escape from this place. However, just when they thought that Kong Shinmu would leave with them, the scene in front of them stunned them. However, the pitch-black divine dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into had no intention of turning back. Instead, he was approaching the 3 demonic chi cracks. From the looks of it, he was going to deal with the 3 Supreme God level 8 demonic creatures. Is senior brother Kong Shinmu crazy? That's a level 8 Supreme God beast. He's only at the 5th level of the Transcendent God realm. How can he be a match for the devil? The group of demonic creatures that we killed earlier looked very strong, but that's because there weren't any particularly strong ones among them. That's right. A group of 5th-tier Transcendent Gods can't even compare to an 8th-tier Transcendent God. Senior brother Kong Shinmu is actually going to challenge an 8th-tier Transcendent God monster? All of them widened their eyes. They couldn't believe that Kong Shinmu would make such a decision. In their opinion, it was the best choice for them to retreat together now. The truly powerful demonic creatures should naturally be left to the more powerful dragon martial artists to deal with. But now, Kong Shinmu's actions were completely contrary to what they had expected. He actually took the initiative to face the fiendish 8th-level Supreme God Beast. At this moment, especially the 3 female dragon martial artists, their eyes were filled with worry. To them, Kong Shinmu's performance just now was already extremely good. It had already left an extremely deep impression in their hearts. Now that they saw that Kong Shinmu was actually going to deal with the 3 Supreme God 8th-level Supreme God Beasts, they couldn't help but feel worried. In their opinion, it would be a pity if a genius like Kong Shinmu died here. The others were also a little worried. If something were to happen to Kong Shinmu, they wouldn't feel good either. After all, they were the ones who watched Kong Shinmu get into trouble. When the time came, why didn't they help Kong Shinmu? Although the opponent was completely beyond their level, it wouldn't be nice to talk about it. As for Kong Shinmu, he didn't care about what those young dragon martial artists were thinking. Of course, those dragon martial artists weren't young anymore. Many of the 6th-tier and 7th-tier disciples of the Holy Lands might have cultivated for decades. It was especially so for those with higher cultivation realms. The dragon martial artists who were at the 5th tier of the super divine dragon realm could have cultivated for more than 100 years. As for Kong Shinmu, he didn't pay much attention to them. In fact, to him, the 3 Supreme God 8th-level demonic creatures in front of him were nothing at all. He didn't pay much attention to them at all. Soon, he moved forward in his black dragon body, accompanied by a wave of devouring power. The 3 Supreme God 8th-level demonic creatures were shrouded in a terrifying demonic aura and had strange-looking tentacles. After coming out of the demonic aura, they surrounded Kong Shinmu. After all, Kong Shinmu was the dragon martial artist closest to the demonic aura and was also the first choice of the 3 demonic creatures. Soon, Kong Shinmu's black dragon body charged forward, targeting one of the demonic creatures. What greeted him was the attack of the extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul. Originally, Kong Shinmu's extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul needed to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy to increase its power. But now it wasn't needed. As Kong Shinmu's cultivation level was much higher than before, he didn't need to accumulate power to deal with a few Supreme God 8th-level demonic creatures. He could even deal with Supreme God 9th-level demonic creatures in an instant. Extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul. Kong Shinmu's black dragon body charged forward, releasing the extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul. As the pitch-black dragon soul emerged, streams of dragon breath shot toward the 3 demonic creatures. The body of the black dragon soul was incomparably deep and exuded a terrifying aura. The extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul's breath instantly bombarded the 3 demonic creatures that took the initiative to approach him. With a single strike, the demonic creature was torn to shreds. Then it was the other 2 demonic creatures. After the extreme destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul was released, the entire place was filled with the black dragon's breath condensed by the endless devouring power. It swept toward the demonic creatures in a frenzy. In just a short moment, the 3 Supreme God 8th-level demonic creatures were all torn apart by this power. The bodies of the demonic creatures exploded. The devouring power swept the entire place, condensing all the power and integrating it into Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. To him, all of this was a very simple matter. However, this scene caused the eyes of the 8 dragon martial artists from the other sacred lands to widen. They couldn't believe what they were seeing at all. Originally, they thought that Kong Shinmu would be at a disadvantage, or even defeated by the 3 demonic creatures. Chapter 55-66. What was shocking? That was shocking. At that moment, the 8 dragon martialists from the other sacred lands were completely shocked by Kong Shinmu and stood rooted to the ground. The eyes of the mystical dragons were filled with disbelief. They were still thinking that Kong Shinmu was going to be crushed, but in the end, Jiang Shinwu had actually turned the tables and crushed the 3 8th-level Supreme God Realm demonic creatures. In just a few breaths of time, he had completely killed the 3 beasts and destroyed them one by one. Senior brother Kong Shinmu is actually so powerful. It turns out that we have underestimated him. That's not all. I think he doesn't seem to have any intention of leaving. These 3 demonic chi rifts are definitely not something we should touch at our level. Now, even 8th stage Supreme God beasts have appeared. Could it be that a pinnacle level 9 Supreme God realm demonic creature will appear next? If that's the case, we can only wait for our elders to come. They were discussing animatedly. At that moment, 2 divine dragons that were tens of thousands of feet long appeared in the distant sky and flew toward the valley at high speed. It's senior sister Shang Lu and senior brother Shang Ming. It seems like the elders don't have time to come, so they sent senior brother over. It's good that they're here. The 8 dragon martialist disciples quickly recognized the 2 divine dragons that had rushed over. Both of them were the eldest disciples of their sacred land's elders. One of them was a beautiful and slender holy light dragon of their sacred land's eldest senior sister, Shang Lu. The other was a majestic storm void dragon of their sacred land's eldest senior brother, Shang Ming. But very quickly, in their eyes, that wise and brilliant eldest senior brother seemed to have turned to another place midway. The one who appeared in front of them was senior sister Shang Lu. Soon, the beautiful and slender holy light dragon of life arrived in front of everyone and returned to her human form. A beautiful woman in white appeared in front of them. Her eyes were like starlight, her skin was as white as snow, her perfect figure, and her elegant temperament attracted everyone's attention. "Are you all right?" The woman Shang Lu asked everyone gently. Senior brother Kong Shinmu of the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land saved us. Moreover, he just killed 3 Supreme God Tier 8 demonic beasts. Hearing this, Shang Li's pretty face revealed a look of surprise. She looked in the direction of the 3 demonic chi cracks and soon saw Kong Shinmu's divine dragon figure. She realized that he was only a 5th tier Supreme God Realm Dragon Warrior. He can kill a level 8 Supreme God Beast? Shang Li found it hard to believe. "Senior sister, you've been in seclusion all this time. I'm afraid you don't know." One of the men said respectfully, "This person is a super genius raised by the 5 Extreme Profound Ice Holy Land a while back. In the competition held by the Dragon Soul Sacred Tower, he directly helped the 5 Extreme Mysterious Ice Holy Lands rise in the rankings. He is Emperor Shi's Divine Dragon Senior's personal disciple." The direct disciple of Emperor Shi? When Shang Lu heard this, his eyes lit up. He's only at the 5th level of the Transcendent God Realm. His battle prowess had actually reached the 8th level of the Supreme God Realm? That's quite impressive. Shi and Shang Ming were both the best of the best in their holy lands. They had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God Realm. Previously, the 2 of them had been in seclusion separately, wanting to rush to the Supreme level. However, in the end, they were still unable to break through. In fact, they were still quite far from that level. Therefore, they came out to train. Being in seclusion all the time was not a solution. Based on the previous situation, even if they were to be in seclusion for another 10 or a few decades, they might not be able to comprehend and break through. Therefore, they had to come out to train. Coincidentally, the incident in the Dragon Martial Continent had given them the opportunity and environment to train. Although these demonic beasts were not strong, there were many of them. If they were to stay in battle, they would have a deeper understanding of their own cultivation. "I didn't expect to meet such a genius this time." A smile appeared on Shang Li's gentle face. She looked at the black dragon body that Kong Shinmu had transformed into in the distance, and a hint of interest appeared in her eyes. As for senior brother Shang Ming, he turned around and went somewhere else when he was about to arrive. In next to no time, his Tempest Void dragon body landed on a nearby mountain peak. On this mountain peak, there were Xueqi, Yu Tianchong, and the other 2 women. They had been observing Kong Shinmu from a distance. They had no intention of getting involved, nor did they intend to get in touch with the dragon martial artists of the Holy Land. However, they had not expected that the stormy void dragon would fly straight to them. "May I ask who you are?" Yu Tianchong's cultivation was the highest among the people present, so she took the role of the speaker. Seeing a powerful dragon martial artist coming over, she was naturally a little nervous and dignified. "My name is Shang Ming." The voice of a rather aloof man was heard. Then, the stormy void dragon returned to its human form. Storms swirled all over its body, and it looked down at the women with a hint of admiration. "You look a bit like Yaji. Are you her descendant?" The young-looking man glanced at Yu Tianchong and asked. Yu Tianchong was stunned. Yu Yaji was the dean of Donghuang Yonggu College. She was indeed Yu Yaji's descendant. "Yes." Yu Tianchong answered respectfully. The man in front of her knew Yu Yaji, so he must be her senior, and his cultivation was quite terrifying. He was probably at the peak of Supreme God realm. "Stay away, all of you," Shang Ming said faintly, looking at the 3 devil chi cracks. "Those 3 devil chi cracks are no joke. If you stay here, you will probably encounter danger." "Well, I think it's okay. This place is far enough," Xueqi said casually. "Brother Jiang is watching over there. We won't be in danger." "Brother Jiang?" When Shang Ming heard this, he glanced at Xueqi and sensed the aura on her body. He couldn't help but lightly snort. "You're talking about Jiang Xinwu, right? I've heard his name many times since I came out of seclusion. I didn't expect him to be here." "And you are the so-called little princess from the Demon God clan?" "Haha, that Kong Xinmu is a genius of our Dragon God clan, but he is colluding with the Demon God clan." "What a joke." Shang Ming seemed to be a little unhappy with the Demon God clan. Who knew what kind of hatred there was between them? "It's up to you whether you want to leave or not, but I won't have time to care about you when we fight later." Shang Ming sneered, and his tone became unpleasant. "Ha ha ha, who needs you to care about us? With Brother Jiang here, nothing will happen to us." Chapter 55-67. Hearing Xueqi's words, Shang Ming sneered. Naturally, he could not be bothered with Xueqi. In his opinion, it would be best if Xueqi died here. Of course, he did not dare to take the initiative to attack Xueqi. After all, his identity was there. If he really made a move against Xueqi, he would most likely die without a doubt. After all, the dragon gods and the demon gods were on friendly terms. The 2 sides had more cooperation, and their conflicts had always been more restrained. Therefore, Shang Ming did not stay there. Instead, he turned around and transformed into the body of the Tempest Void Dragon, heading toward the people of the Holy Land where Shanglu was. Shang Ming and Shanglu met. "Aren't you going to ask me who I saw?" Shang Ming looked at Shanglu with desire in his eyes. Unfortunately, Shanglu was quite cold to him. "What does it have to do with me?" "Shanglu, I see that you are interested in that Kong Xinmu." Shang Ming's expression turned ugly. He had always been pursuing Shanglu. To him, Shanglu was a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, for some reason, Shanglu had always been indifferent to him. It was as if she had always treated him as a senior brother. In particular, Shang Li's beautiful eyes were looking at Kong Xinmu in the distance, which made Shang Ming even more displeased. He can defeat a demon at the 8th level of the Supreme God realm with his cultivation level of the 5th level. Naturally, I am interested in him. Shanglu pursed her lips and smiled, speaking matter-of-factly. "In my opinion, he probably used some kind of sacred item." Shang Ming sneered. "He is Emperor Shi's disciple. It is normal for him to have some sacred items. You haven't seen him attack. How can you be so sure?" Shanglu smiled faintly. She had long been used to Shang Ming's character. Because of this, she did not like Shang Ming. This guy always felt that he was the best in the world and that no one was more talented than him. Therefore, when he saw other geniuses, he would suppress them to show off his own abilities. To Shanglu, Shang Ming's arrogant behavior was simply digging his own grave. She felt that Shang Ming had met a tough opponent at the banquet. But now, she did not think that Kong Xinmu would be a tough opponent. From her point of view, although Kong Xinmu was amazing, being able to defeat a level 8 Transcendent God Realm demonic being with a level 5 Transcendent God Realm cultivation. But he was definitely not a match for Shang Ming. After all, Shang Ming was already at the peak of the Transcendent God Realm. He had been at the 9th tier of the Transcendent God Realm for a long time. He had been in seclusion for a long time trying to break through to the Supreme Realm, but he had failed. She, Shanglu and Shang Ming were the strongest existences the Martial Dragon continent could contain. If an existence stronger than the 2 of them were to appear in the Martial Dragon continent, it would very likely destroy the barrier and cause the continent to collapse. This made Shanglu feel that he had to get busy again today to protect Kong Xinmu. All along, she had always protected the geniuses of the younger generation who were targeted by the sage. To her, those geniuses of the younger generation were not that bad. In fact, some of them were even more talented than Shang Ming. However, due to being suppressed by Sage Ming, the cultivation process of many geniuses in the sacred grounds was not smooth. Shang Lu saw all of this and was very clear that Shang Ming was behind all of this, but he couldn't find any evidence. Otherwise, the elders of the sacred grounds would never allow Shang Ming to do such a thing. At this moment, all the spectators suddenly exclaimed with shock. From the 3 devil chi rifts in the distance, waves of terrifying and turbulent devil chi surged out with a loud bang. What appeared outside the demonic chi cracks were 3 extremely powerful and violent demonic creatures. Berserk demonic creatures at the 9th tier of the transcendent god realm. Each of them was a powerful demonic creature that had reached the peak of the transcendent god realm. Even Shang Lu and Shang Ming had to treat their battle prowess extremely seriously. These are peak-level demonic creatures. The expressions of Shang Lu and Shang Ming, as well as the 8 dragon martial artists of their sacred grounds, changed drastically. This is bad. This is a super powerful existence that even we and the elders can only deal with at the same time. Shang Li's expression changed slightly. Her pretty face turned a little pale, and she hurriedly wanted to transform into a dragon to help Kong Shin-mu. In her opinion, Kong Shin-mu was definitely no match for these 3 peak-level demonic creatures. However, just as she was about to move, Shang Ming snorted coldly and transformed into a storm spirit void dragon, blocking in front of her. 3 demonic chi cracks. 3 peak-level demonic creatures. Shang Ming sneered. Are you so impulsive that you're going to die? Who knows if there will be more demonic creatures coming out of those demonic chi cracks? I've already informed Master and the elders. They'll come to support soon. Before Master and the elders arrive, I won't let you take risks in private. Shang Lu felt a little incredulous when she heard Shang Ming's words. Although this senior brother of his had hindered the cultivation of other geniuses in the past, he had never been as unreasonable as he was now. Now, Kong Shin-mu was in danger. One had to know that Kong Shin-mu was a super genius of the Dragon God clan's great world and was very famous. If Kong Shin-mu died here, it would be a great loss to the entire Dragon God clan. However, for Shang Ming, it seemed that whether Kong Shin-mu died or not had nothing to do with him. In fact, there was even a hint of schadenfreude in his eyes. Shang Ming, in such a situation, not only are you not going to help, but you're also going to stop me? Shang Li's expression became very ugly. I won't let you take risks. Shang Ming's reason was very good, and he said calmly. He sneered secretly. He wanted to see Kong Shin-mu killed now. He wanted to see what Shang Li's expression would be when Kong Shin-mu was killed. He really didn't expect that junior sister Shang Lu, who had always been very harsh to him, would show such an interested expression to a junior Kong Shin-mu that she had never seen before. Shang Ming, do you know why I've never liked you? Shang Lu finally couldn't stand it anymore. She snorted coldly and said, You're already very talented, but every time you stop other disciples from cultivating, it's simply unreasonable. Today, you're even jealous of Kong Shin-mu. I don't know what he did to make you want to kill him. Hearing Shang Li's words, Shang Ming laughed loudly. In his opinion, he didn't need Shang Li's love at all. He firmly believed that he was the most talented person in the Dragon God clan, so for him, Shang Lu was just one of the women he wanted. Junior sister, why can't you understand that I'm doing this for your own good? Chapter 55-68. Shang Lu was exasperated, and her face was full of disappointment. She said, I can't fight them alone, but if you work with me, we can still defeat those 3 demonic creatures. Shang Ming was unmoved when he heard this. He said indifferently, I won't take risks for someone I don't know. Similarly, I don't want you to take risks for someone you don't know. Shang Lu had no choice. She really couldn't beat Shang Ming now. If Shang Ming wanted to stop her, she definitely wouldn't be able to get through. So she could only look anxiously in the direction of the 3 demonic chi cracks. The image of Jiang Xinwu's pitch-black divine dragon was reflected in her beautiful eyes. Very quickly, he was surrounded by the 3 demonic beasts. It was too late. Shang Lu was in despair. She felt that she couldn't save Kong Shin-mu even if she wanted to. Now, I can only hope that Kong Shin-mu can have some world saint items to break out of the encirclement. She never thought that Kong Shin-mu could kill those 3 supreme divine-level demonic creatures, because the difference in combat strength between the 2 sides was too great. As for world saint items, she suspected that if Kong Shin-mu used them to deal with those 3 demonic creatures, would it exceed the limit of power that the Dragon Martial Continent could withstand? So she was very worried. In contrast to her worry, Shang Ming, who was next to her, sneered. He looked at Kong Shinmu and thought to himself, I want to see how you die this time. He didn't expect Kong Shinmu to be killed just like that. After all, he was the personal disciple of Emperor Shi. He felt that Kong Shinmu must have a trump card. But that trump card must be a world saint item, with power comparable to a supreme level. But that level of power was definitely not something that Kong Shinmu could control. Once he used it, it might exceed the limit that the Dragon Martial Continent could withstand. So, in Shang Ming's opinion, Kong Shinmu would never use a world saint item. After all, the Dragon Martial Continent was Kong Shinmu's hometown. How could he take the risk of destroying his hometown? Soon, everyone nervously looked at the 3 demonic chi cracks. Perhaps only Xueqi, Yu Tianchong, and the other 2 women who were a little further away were not worried about the current situation at all. On the contrary, the 4 women found it funny to see Shang Lu, Shang Ming, and the others behaving like that. Brother Jiang has long been unafraid of this level of demonic creatures, yet they are still so worried. How ridiculous! Especially that Shang Ming. Does he really think that he's that amazing? That he's that strong? In front of Shen Wu, I'm afraid this Shang Ming won't be a match for him. The 4 girls discussed among themselves, and Kong Shinmu's black dragon body was reflected in their eyes. For them, Kong Shinmu was the one they were most concerned about right now. And Kong Shinmu did not disappoint them. Just as the 3-peak stage supreme god surrounded him, his devouring power erupted. 33 Heaven's Divine Feather. Activate. At this moment, the 9-fold extreme destructive sky might dragon soul burst forth, and 9 black dragon souls appeared in the surrounding sky. Accompanied by the dragon's roar, demonic chi surged in all directions. Almost at the same time, 3 devouring dragon souls' breaths landed on the 3-peak stage supreme gods. The 3 demonic creatures did not have any room to struggle at all. It only took an instant for them to turn into ashes. This scene stunned Shang Lu, Shang Ming, and the others. Shang Ming had originally planned to see the scene of Kong Shinmu being suppressed by the demonic creatures, and it was very likely that he would be killed on the spot. But unexpectedly, the result was the complete opposite. What's going on? Shang Ming did not expect to see such a scene at all. Moreover, judging from the situation just now, Kong Shinmu did not use a heaven and earth holy item. This meant that Kong Shinmu had killed the 3-peak stage supreme gods purely with his own strength. Wasn't this too terrifying? One had to know that even Shang Ming himself could not be as straightforward as Kong Shinmu. In fact, if he were to be surrounded by 3-peak stage supreme gods, he would need to deal with them for a long time before he could kill them one by one. In the end, Kong Shinmu killed the 3 demonic creatures with just one move of the super divine dragon martial skill. How could Shang Ming not be shocked? As for Shang Lu, a look of surprise appeared on her beautiful face. This was simply too surprising. He's too strong. She had originally thought that Kong Shinmu was weaker than her. After all, she was capable of defeating 3 supreme god tier 8 demonic beasts. But now it seemed like Kong Shinmu was completely stronger than her. After all, if it were her, she would definitely not be able to kill the 3-peak stage supreme gods like Kong Shinmu did. And Kong Shinmu's strength had left an extremely deep impression in her heart. He's only a peak stage supreme god. He actually has such combat prowess? Shang Li's beautiful eyes became more and more interested in Kong Shinmu. She felt that there must be a secret on Kong Shinmu's body. This kind of secret was indeed very attractive to her. When Shang Ming saw the look in Shang Li's eyes, he was even more furious. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. It was already very overboard not to help Kong Shinmu. If it was even more overboard, it would be to besiege Kong Shinmu with the demonic creatures. Shang Ming would not do such a thing. If he did not help, even if someone found out, they would not be able to say anything. After all, he was also thinking about his own safety. However, if he participated in besieging Kong Shinmu, the nature would change. After that, the 5 Extremes mysterious ice holy land would not let him off at all. He, a peak stage supreme god, could not afford to offend the entire 5 Extremes mysterious ice holy land. In fact, it was very likely that there would be experts from other holy lands who would befriend Kong Shinmu. That would be even more uncomfortable for him. Therefore, in short, he could not do anything to Kong Shinmu now. Moreover, Shang Ming was a little afraid now. He was afraid that if he really participated in besieging Kong Shinmu, would he be killed by Kong Shinmu like the three-peak stage supreme god demonic creatures? Now it seemed that it was very likely. Kong Shinmu's battle prowess far exceeded his expectations. Although Shang Ming also had a Heaven and Earth Sacred Grade, his Heaven and Earth Sacred Grade did not have many layers of seals unlocked. To him, unlocking the seals of a Heaven and Earth Sacred Grade required too many cultivation resources. Even if he tried very hard, he could not unlock too many layers. This was similar to Kong Shinmu. It was extremely difficult to unlock more layers of seals in Kong Shinmu's Starry Sky small world. Moreover, he could not hand it over to others. After all, this was his secret. Look at that man's defeated expression. It's so funny. In the distance, Xueqi looked at Shang Ming's shocked and defeated expression and could not help but laugh. To her, whoever dared to harm Kong Shinmu was a bad person. Chapter 55-69. After all, Shang Ming was already a peak supreme god existence. Although he was far away, he could still sense the situation of Xueqi and the other girls in the distance. At this moment, his face could not help but darken. He had actually been mocked by the little princess of the demon god clan? He did not have a good impression of the demon god clan to begin with, and now he hated them even more. But he did not dare to do anything now. After all, there were many people present. Otherwise, he would not have minded attacking Xueqi. As for the sacred land where Shang Lu and Shang Ming were, the 8 transcending divine dragon martialists all sucked in a breath of cold air. They watched the scene of Kong Shinmu killing 3 peak supreme god demonic creatures by himself, and they could not believe it. They all looked a little incredulous. After all, Kong Shinmu was the same as some of them. He was only at the 5th tier of the supreme god realm, but he could actually defeat the peak supreme god demonic creatures. How could they not be shocked? This child is too terrifying. No wonder Emperor Shi took a fancy to him and accepted him as a personal disciple. Not only did Emperor Shi take a fancy to him, but even the demon god clan has great trust in him. That's right. The Su royal family even brought the little princess over. It's clear that they trust him very much. Everyone was talking about it. They had incomparable respect for Kong Shinmu. And all of this made Shang Ming feel even more uncomfortable. But there was nothing he could do. Originally, he had planned to leave them in the lurch, but now he realized that Kong Shinmu was stronger than him. Who could stand such a feeling? In that case, this child does not need our help. I'll tell Master Zhang and the others not to come, Shang Ming said with a cold laugh. Senior? Hearing this, Shang Lu immediately frowned. Why are you doing this? Now that the 3 demonic vortexes are all gathered together, we need Master Zhang and the others to come together in order to get rid of them. Even if Master Zhang and the others come together, it will take a long time to get rid of the demonic vortexes. Why do you say that you don't need help? This time, she was really angry. Originally, Shang Ming did not intend to help Kong Shinmu for personal reasons. But now, Shang Ming actually told Zhang Laozuan and the others not to come over. Didn't that mean that they were going to give up on the 3 demon vortexes? If that was the case, the situation would become very bad, because if these 3 devil chi vortexes continued to exist, there would be powerful monsters emerging from them. At that time, there would be more and more demonic creatures. Even if they joined forces with the elders, it would be very difficult to fight them. After all, if there were too many demonic creatures, they would also be tired. There was a limit to their strength. How could it be that easy to stop the endless stream of demonic creatures? Dealing with the 3 demon vortexes was not a personal matter. It concerned the entire Dragon Martial continent, and even the entire Dragon God clan. This caused Shang Lu to have an extremely bad impression of his senior brother, Shang Ming. At first, she just didn't have a good impression of him. But now, he was a little disgusted. This person, because of his personal jealousy, didn't even care about the overall situation. This was too much. He was simply a despicable person. Even the 8 dragon warriors from their holy land felt that Shang Ming's decision was inconceivable. Each and every one of them had a strange expression on their faces. As for Shang Ming's current situation, they all guessed that this senior brother was extremely jealous of Kong Shinmu, which led to him not wanting to help Kong Shinmu. Even if it caused the 3 demon chi cracks to have a major impact on the entire Dragon Martial continent, it seemed to be completely insignificant to Shang Ming. This senior brother. was really a little too disgusting. But now, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, Shang Ming was definitely the strongest among them. He could even challenge Shang Lu and all 8 of them. After all, the 8 of them basically had no combat power, especially in front of Shang Ming. They wouldn't even be able to withstand one move. How could they dare to say anything? Moreover, Shang Lu had the same opinion as them. Even Shang Li's words were useless, let alone them. If they spoke up to dissuade Shang Ming, they would definitely be the unlucky ones. Shang Ming saw the look in everyone's eyes and immediately snorted coldly. He said faintly, "Do you think that the elders of our holy land have nothing else to do? There are still demon chi cracks in other places that need their help to clean up. So these 3 demon chi cracks, since that Kong Shin Mu thinks he can deal with them, then let him handle them. If he can't handle them well, then it will be his responsibility. Of course, if he doesn't have the confidence, he will naturally inform the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land to come and help. Do you really think that I want to see him die because of jealousy?" When these words were said, everyone was a little depressed. It sounded like that was the case. But at this point, who didn't know what Shang Ming was thinking? We can only let the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land handle it. Shang Lu sighed. She really didn't have much persuasion power to convince her master and the elders of the Holy Land. To the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, Shang Ming was the most talented disciple, and he would always enjoy the most privileges and cultivation resources in the Holy Land. Even she, Shang Lu, although she didn't have as many resources as Shang Ming, her cultivation was still very close. But in the eyes of the elders, Shang Li's status was far from Shang Ming's. Since Shang Ming told the elders not to come, then most likely the elders had already decided not to come. It was useless for her, Shang Lu, to say anything more. It wasn't that she didn't want to try, but similar things had happened many times in the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, and she had no way to change anything. This was because she didn't have the inherited bloodline of the Storm Spirit Illusion Dragon, so in terms of status, she was much worse than Shang Ming. Of course, in reality, whether it was in terms of cultivation realm or cultivation talent, she wasn't worse than Shang Ming. It was just that the elders were biased towards Shang Ming. What could she do? Very quickly, they all looked nervously in the direction of the 3 demonic cracks, and then waited for Kong Shin Mu to call the elders over. In their eyes, the only path that Kong Shin Mu could take now was to call the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land over. But, at this moment, they all discovered something to their shock. The jet-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into flew rapidly towards one of the demonic aura cracks. Waves of jet-black energy enveloped the demonic aura crack from all over his body. It directly began to devour. Chapter 5570. No one had expected Kong Shin Mu to be able to deal with the demonic chi crack. What ability is this? Shang Ming's face trembled. He widened his eyes. He couldn't imagine how Kong Shin Mu could make the demonic chi crack dissipate so quickly. He had seen the elders of his holy land working together to eliminate this kind of demonic chi crack. Without a doubt, the longer the demonic chi crack existed, the more difficult it would be to get rid of it. For example, even if many elders worked together, it would take at least a few days to get rid of one of the 3 demonic chi cracks. Because of this, the Dragon Martial Continent felt that they didn't have enough manpower. Because clearing a single demonic chi crack required many top-notch experts to deal with it. There were so many demonic chi cracks in the entire Dragon Martial Continent, and almost all the top-notch experts were held back by a certain demonic chi crack, unable to support other places. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many disciples of the Holy Land encountering danger in the Dragon Martial Continent. There really weren't enough top-notch experts. Therefore, Shang Ming and Shang Lu were very clear about the difficulty of clearing the demonic chi crack. At their level, there needed to be at least 7 or 8 people together, and at least 3 pinnacle supreme god experts to protect them. Once a demonic creature emerged from the demonic chi crack, at least 3 top-notch experts would be needed to eliminate it. The others were focused on clearing the demonic chi crack. Even with such a lineup of more than 10 people, it would take at least a few days to successfully clear a demonic chi crack. And now, the scene in front of them had completely exceeded their expectations. They had never even dreamed that Jiang Shenwu, who was merely a 5th-tier transcendent god, would be able to do something that so many peak transcendent god elders could not do. In a short period of time, Half of the demonic qi crack that Kong Shinmu had devoured had dissipated. Based on the current situation, Kong Shinmu would be able to completely clear the demonic qi crack in less than 2 hours. What kind of speed was this? A single person was able to accomplish something that more than a dozen elder-level powerhouses couldn't do. If an elder-level powerhouse wanted to clear a demonic qi rift in 2 hours, it would take at least hundreds of people. Because of this, Kong Shinmu's actions at this moment were so shocking. Apart from Shang Ming and Shang Lu, the other 8 dragon martialists also had looks of disbelief on their faces. Who would have thought that Kong Shinmu would actually be able to do such a thing? He was actually able to devour the demonic qi and get rid of it? Wasn't this too terrifying? Their faces were filled with astonishment, and their hearts were filled with shock. Just as they were observing. In the other 2 devil qi cracks, 2 more peak supreme god-level monsters suddenly emerged. At the same time, there were many ordinary monsters surrounding them. A total of over 100 monsters actually surged out at this moment. At the same time, under everyone's gaze, Kong Shinmu did not panic at all. Extreme Destruction Heavenly Might Dragon's Soul. First, he used the Super Divine Dragon Martial Technique, which was released under the effect of the 33 Heavenly Divine Feathers. 9 Heavenly Destructive Dragon Soul. This Transcendent Dragon Martial skill directly swept up to the 2 peak-level Transcendent Gods, shattering their terrifying and surging devil qi bodies. Immediately after, there was another 1000-directional break, which came from the Chaotic Heaven-Devouring Dragon Sky-Devouring Dragon Martial Technique. In an instant, 10 devouring vortexes formed in the field. With the support of Kong Shinmu's formless Chen Xing, the 10 devouring vortexes instantly swept all the surrounding monsters in. Just a moment later, the monsters that emerged from the 2 demonic qi cracks were actually killed by Kong Shinmu just like that. In the field, the demonic qi rippled and drifted towards the surroundings. Waves of devouring power condensed from Kong Shinmu's black dragon body and swept towards the demonic qi cracks. They could feel it. There seemed to be monsters trying to rush out of the demonic qi crack that Kong Shinmu was devouring. Unfortunately, the entire demonic qi crack was already riddled with holes under Kong Shinmu's devouring. The spatial power formation within it had completely lost its integrity. In the end, no monsters could rush out of the demonic qi crack. Only some scattered demonic qi was continuously released from the demonic qi crack, but it could not form any monsters, let alone pose any threat to Kong Shinmu. Devour. Kong Shinmu's devouring power directly enveloped the broken demonic qi crack. It was just as Shang Lu and the others had expected. In less than an hour, the demonic qi crack was basically enveloped by Kong Shinmu's devouring power and then completely destroyed. The entire demonic qi crack was devoured by Kong Shinmu and turned into his own nutrients. Whether it was his understanding of the spatial attribute void force or the devouring power, they had further improved his strength. Of course, just devouring 1 demonic qi crack did not increase Kong Shinmu's strength by much. Immediately after, Kong Shinmu turned to face the other 2 demonic qi cracks that were emitting surging demonic qi. The devouring power swept out at the same time and surged towards the 2 demonic qi cracks. He actually wanted to devour these 2 demonic qi cracks at the same time. This shocking scene caused the expressions of Shang Lu, Shang Ming, and the others in the distance to change drastically. They had not expected Kong Shinmu to do such a shocking thing. Clearing 2 demonic qi cracks at the same time. This was simply unheard of. Even the elders of the sacred grounds at the peak of the supreme god level would not dare to do such a thing. Even if they joined forces, it would be impossible. Needless to say, Kong Shinmu was alone. However, just now, Kong Shinmu alone had cleared 1 demonic qi crack in just an hour. From this, it could be seen that no matter how strong Kong Shinmu's combat strength was, at least in terms of clearing demonic qi cracks, Kong Shinmu's speed was much faster than anyone else's. Now, it seemed reasonable for him to want to clear 2 demonic qi cracks at the same time. However, such an action was really unimaginable. At least to Shang Lu and Shang Ming, Kong Shinmu's actions had already shocked them greatly. It seems that no matter how highly I look at Kong Shinmu, he will always be stronger than I expected. Sheng Li's beautiful eyes were already filled with shock. Chapter 55-71. Shang Ming was about to explode with anger. But he had no choice. He couldn't stop Kong Shinmu from cleaning up the demonic qi cracks, could he? If he did, he would become the sinner of the entire dragon gods. He couldn't be that stupid. He looked at Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body, which was in the middle of the two demonic chi cracks. His entire body exuded an incomparably dense pitch-black talent power that enveloped the two demonic chi cracks. Shang Ming suddenly thought of something. Junior sister Shang Lu, Kong Shinmu seems to have an unusual restraining effect on the demonic chi cracks. Shang Ming narrowed his eyes and said, I suspect that the appearance of the demonic chi cracks in the dragon martial continent has a lot to do with him. Don't talk nonsense. Shang Li's face darkened, and she hurriedly stopped him. How can this be called nonsense? Shang Ming guessed with a smile. It's not like you don't know that it's not that easy for the elders of our holy land to clean up these demonic chi cracks. It might even take a few days to do so. And this Kong Shinmu is clearly only at the 5th level of the Supreme Divinity Realm. But he can clean up the demonic chi cracks so quickly. Don't you think it's strange? Shang Lu shook her head when she heard this. She said coldly, the dragon martial continent is Kong Shinmu's hometown. How could he deliberately cause these demonic chi cracks to harm the dragon martial continent? Moreover, when this happened, Kong Shinmu wasn't in the dragon martial continent. He wasn't even in the dragon god's great world, but in the demon god's great world. She had absolute trust in Kong Shinmu. Not to mention why Kong Shinmu would do this. Just whether he had the ability to do so was enough to make people doubt. Ha ha ha. Shang Ming laughed and said, have you ever thought about why this Kong Shinmu is so talented? Why is he able to win repeatedly in battle, and even defeat stronger opponents? No one knows what his talent power is. We only know that it's related to devouring. And the talent power of devouring is rare in our dragon god clan. Every time he attacks, every time he fights others, he displays a completely different kind of suppressive power. Clearly, there's a problem with his power. Shang Ming spoke with certainty, as if he had already confirmed that there was a problem with Kong Shinmu's strength. To him, he was unhappy with Kong Shinmu. He wanted to see Kong Shinmu fail and be punished. That was the only way he could get his hands on it. When Shang Lu heard his words, the disappointment in her beautiful eyes deepened. She had never imagined that Shang Ming would say such a thing in order to ostracize Kong Shinmu. These words were completely slanderous. Because up until now, what Shang Ming had said had always been just a guess, without any evidence. If there was no evidence, what else could it be other than slander? I heard that Kong Shinmu had gone to various ancient relics to explore. Even Emperor Shi's heaven and earth holy item was brought out by Kong Shinmu. Shang Lu said indifferently, it's not surprising that he obtained some great power in the ancient relics. Do you want him to completely display his power in front of you to let you know? Don't go too far. When he heard Shang Li's words, Shang Ming knew that his junior sister was determined to stand on Kong Shinmu's side. So he smiled faintly and said, it's okay. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. As long as the elders believe me, it's enough. After saying this, he turned and left the place. Obviously, he was going to find the elders of their holy land. When Shang Lu saw this, she immediately gritted her teeth and transformed into a snow-white dragon of holy light, following Shang Ming. She would never let Shang Ming spout nonsense in front of the elders. At the very least, she had to stop Shang Ming from saying some unimaginable things to frame Kong Shinmu. Judging from the current situation, as long as he could deal with Kong Shinmu, Shang Ming would do anything. No matter what, he could do anything. So what if it was just framing Kong Shinmu? Kong Shinmu ignored the people around him. He did not know what Shang Lu and Shang Ming were arguing about, nor did he know that their dispute was actually related to him. He was devouring the two devil chi rifts with all his might and turning the power in the devil chi rifts into his own purest power. He could store it to improve his cultivation. However, he was not in a hurry. Even if he devoured all three devil chi rifts, it would not be enough for him to break through to the next level. He was now at the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. It would not be easy to break through to the next level. Therefore, Kong Shinmu was not in a hurry. Anyway, judging from the current situation in the Dragon Martial Continent, there was nothing that he could not solve. Regardless of how many devil chi rifts there were in the 9th level of the Supreme God realm, they would not be able to escape the fate of being devoured. The current Kong Shinmu devoured everything wherever he went. Everything would become his power and fuse into his body. He realized that when he split the devouring power between the two devil chi rifts, the speed at which he devoured them was undoubtedly much slower. However, the overall time was faster. Moreover, when he devoured 2 devil chi rifts at the same time, no devil would emerge from the 2 devil chi rifts to avoid being disturbed. Once he was disturbed, the devouring power would be dispersed, and the speed at which he devoured the devil chi rifts would naturally decrease. In the current situation, the most important thing for Kong Shinmu was to devour the devil chi rifts. As long as he dealt with all the devil chi rifts, the crisis of the Dragon Martial Continent would naturally be resolved. At present, the speed at which Kong Shinmu devoured the devil chi rifts was still faster than the speed at which the devil chi rifts were born. After all, the speed at which he devoured the devil chi rifts was extremely fast. If the speed at which the devil chi rifts were born was faster than his devouring speed, then the others would not be able to hold on for so long before he returned. At this moment, Kong Shinmu was in the process of devouring the devil chi rifts. He found that one of Shang Lu and Shang Ming, who had just left, had returned. It was Shang Ming. The holy light dragon of life had not returned, and he did not know where it had gone. Then, Shang Ming took away the 8 dragon martial artists from the Holy Land. After that, the scene was relatively quiet. Kong Shinmu devoured the devil chi rifts in peace and did not pay attention to anything else around him. Moreover, he did not think that anything would happen around him. At this moment, Xueqi, who had been observing the situation, suddenly felt that something was wrong. She could not help but say to Yu Tianchong and the other 2 women, "Sisters, I have a feeling that Shang Ming wants to play tricks in the dark." Furthermore, after Sister Shangla left with Shang Ming, she never appeared again. Could something have happened to her? Chapter 55-72. Xueqi, Yu Tianchong, Gu Yuxing, and Feng Ligay quietly flew in the direction where Shang Lu had disappeared. They moved very carefully, completely attracting the attention of others, avoiding the route of Shang Ming's group. Not long after Shang Ming and Shang Le left, Shang Ming came back and brought the 8 of them away. Then, Xueqi and the others headed back to the place where they were just now. They left quietly. Let me try to track them. At this moment, Yu Tianchong had transformed into a heavenly robe phoenix feather dragon. A super divine dragon weapon appeared in front of her divine dragon body. It was actually a red rope. Under the pursuit of her super divine dragon technique, the red rope was tainted with the aura of the holy music. Shang Li's holy light dragon of life, her aura was very obvious, so Yu Tianchong could easily track her. Very soon, Yu Tianchong found Shang Li's current location. Come with me. Yu Tianchong transformed into a heavenly robe phoenix feather dragon and flew at the forefront, bringing the other 3 women with her. As for Xueqi, in order to conceal himself and avoid attracting attention, he did not transform into his 16-winged heavenly demon god body. Instead, he sat on the heavenly robe phoenix feather dragon's neck. Just like when he sat on the neck of Kong Shinmu's divine dragon. Following the guidance of Yu Tianchong's super divine dragon martial technique and dragon weapon, they soon arrived at a place where the devil chi was very dense. This was the depths of a valley. Yu Tianchong's heavenly phoenix feather dragon ability could track this place, and she could feel the aura of the holy light dragon around the valley. The sacred music is inside. Come, let's go in and take a look. The 4 women carefully observed the surroundings of the valley and did not discover any ambushes or restrictions. Then, they flew into the valley. Soon, they reached the depths of the valley. He saw the sacred music that was trapped by some kind of power. At this time, Shang Lu was no longer in the form of a divine dragon, but a beautiful woman in white, trapped by the power of the storm void dragon. She had already fallen into a coma. Be careful. We can't enter the imprisonment domain of the Tempest Void Dragon. Damn it! That Shang Ming actually treated his own junior sister from the Holy Land like this? Simply unreasonable. What does he want to do? The women's faces changed drastically. They couldn't figure it out. Wasn't that Shang Ming too bold? He actually imprisoned Shang Lu here. Furthermore, it could be seen that there were no signs of a battle in the surroundings. It was likely that Shang Ming had launched a sneak attack when Shang Lu was not paying attention. Otherwise, it would not have been so easy for him to succeed. What a pity. In the end, Shang Li's understanding of Shang Ming was not deep enough. She thought to herself, no matter how unbearable a sage was, he wouldn't attack his own people, right? But she didn't expect that Shang Ming would really attack her. Xueqi, Yu Tianshang, and the other two girls were surprised. At the same time, they felt that something was wrong. It was obvious that Shang Ming had planned all of this beforehand. He would first imprison Shang Lu here so that she would not be able to escape. As for what Shang Ming wanted to do to Shang Lu, no one knew. There's no other way. We have to go back and inform Kong Shin-mu, Yu Tianchong said with an ugly face. She sized up the depths of the valley, the power of the storm surrounding Shang Li's figure. She could clearly sense that this power was not something she could break through. I can save Shang Lu, Xueqi suddenly said. Xueqi suddenly said, I have a sacred object that can block the power of these restrictions. Do you want to give it a try? That's not appropriate. Feng Ligay shook his head and said with a serious expression, even if you have a sacred treasure that can break through these restrictions, it's best not to act rashly. We still don't know what Shang Ming wants to do. If we touch these restrictions now, we will undoubtedly alert the enemy. So, it's better to tell this matter to Kong Shin-mu first. Of course, we have to have someone stay here to guard in case Shang Ming suddenly comes back with bad intentions. When he said this, all the girls nodded. Xueqi also felt that it made sense. So she nodded and said, then I'll stay. If Shang Ming suddenly comes back, I can block him. There won't be any danger. Yu Tianshang and the other two girls were a little envious. But there was nothing they could do. Who asked Xueqi to be the princess of the Su royal family of the demon god clan? It was normal to have a sacred treasure. Otherwise, how could the experts of the Su royal family be at ease with Xueqi running around in the dragon god clan's world? No matter what, it was best for Xueqi to stay here. Apart from Xueqi, the other three girls couldn't stop Shang Ming. They might even be caught by him in one fell swoop. So the four girls split into two groups. Xueqi stayed in the valley to guard Shang Lu. Yu Tianshang and the other two girls rushed back to the vicinity of the two demon oracracks where Kong Shin-mu was at the fastest speed to inform Kong Shin-mu of this news. It was very possible. That sage was clearly trying to stir up something big. And they still spent a lot of time going back and forth. About 2 hours later, Kong Shin-mu had almost devoured the two demon oracracks. Only a small part was left. At this time, Yu Tianshang and the other two girls returned. And this time, they didn't stay too far away. Instead, they quickly flew towards where Kong Shin-mu was. Kong Shin-mu, it's bad. Shang Lu was imprisoned by Shang Ming. We suspect that he's up to no good and is likely to harm you. Yu Tianshang transmitted her voice to Kong Shin-mu from afar. And this made Kong Shin-mu frown slightly. Shang Lu was actually imprisoned by Shang Ming? And the 8 dragon warrior disciples of their holy land were also taken away by Shang Ming. What was this guy trying to do? I'm afraid there's something wrong with this guy. Kong Shin-mu's face darkened. Just now, he naturally felt Shang Ming's jealous gaze from afar. Obviously, Shang Lu liked Shang Lu very much, but Shang Lu didn't like Shang Ming. It was because of Shang Ming's character. He would seek revenge for the smallest grievance and was petty. And Shang Lu seemed to admire Kong Shin-mu a lot. This made Shang Ming feel a little unbalanced. It was normal. But Kong Shin-mu couldn't guess what Shang Ming wanted to do. The good news was that Xueqi and Yu Tianshang had found Shang Lu, who was imprisoned. No matter what had happened before, as long as Shang Lu was fine, everything would come to light and the truth would come to light. Right at this moment, in the distant sky, many tens of thousands of feet long divine dragons suddenly appeared. In the rain of ice, thunder, and lightning, they brought about tornadoes. Chapter 55-73. A group of dragon warriors at the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God Realm were riding on the wind and clouds, bringing with them a spirit void storm as they rolled over from the horizon. One of them was Shang Ming, who had left for a long time. And the dragon warriors at the peak of the Supreme God Realm around Shang Ming were naturally the elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. These elders brought Shang Ming and rushed over to Jiang Shenwu's side. Each and every one of them looked like fiends. It was obvious that they had some enmity with Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu ignored them for the time being. Instead, he used his devouring power to envelop the 2 cracks of demonic qi, swallowing all the demonic qi in the 2 cracks. In the end, when the elders brought Shang Ming to the front of Jiang Shenwu and the women, Shang Ming's expression changed. Kong Shinmu had just swallowed the 2 cracks of demonic qi. The surrounding demonic qi dissipated, but in the end, it was unable to condense into a shape. It turned into pieces of demonic qi and scattered in all directions. "Everyone, what can I do for you?" Kong Shinmu maintained his black divine dragon form and protected Yu Tianchong and the other 2 girls behind him. Then, he turned around and faced the elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, who were at the peak of the Supreme God realm. "You are Kong Shinmu?" The leader of the other party was a terrifying divine dragon surrounded by the power of the storm. His 2 long white beards swept up the storm and rippled in the air. A look of uncontrollable anger appeared in the eyes of the divine dragon. This anger was obviously directed at Kong Shinmu. "That's me." Kong Shinmu nodded and looked at Shangming. "Everyone, did this Shangming bring you here? I wonder what he said to you all?" "Haha. Kid, you're really not nervous at all. Don't tell me you don't put our Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land in your eyes?" The divine dragon elder in the lead sneered. "This dragon martial continent is the hometown of Kong Shinmu, right? Our Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land came to the dragon martial continent to help you. Who would have thought that an ingrate like you would actually kill a disciple of our Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land? It's simply inhumane and infuriating." As soon as he said that, the elders behind him who were at the peak of the Supreme God realm roared and stared at Kong Shinmu with hatred in their eyes. When Kong Shinmu heard this, he couldn't help but sneer. So that was how it was. This was Sage Ming's plan. Who would have thought that Sage Ming was actually so vicious? Most likely, the 8 dragon warriors that were just taken away by Shang Ming had already been decapitated. They were killed by Shang Ming. However, after Shang Ming returned, he told the elders of his holy land that his junior brothers and sisters were all killed by Kong Shinmu. Among them, there was even holy music. Even Shang Lu was killed by Kong Shinmu. This was probably what a sage would say. And that wasn't all of it. The most important thing was, "Kong Shinmu, what else do you have to say now? The current state of the dragon martial continent was caused by you, right?" The long-bearded divine dragon elder's expression was extremely serious and angry. "Many holy lands have set you up as a genius of the younger generation, a role model. In the end, I didn't expect you to be such a person. What are your intentions in letting these demonic aura cracks spread all over the dragon martial continent? I'm afraid it won't be good for the entire dragon god race." This was what Shang Ming said. This guy first framed the current situation of the dragon martial continent because of Kong Shinmu, and then created the impression that Kong Shinmu had an evil plan. Then, he took Shang Lu and the 8 people from the Holy Land away. As for where he took them, or if he killed them in private, no one knew. In short, he framed Kong Shinmu for this matter. And the reason why they came over so long after Kong Shinmu had already devoured the 2 demonic aura cracks. This was deliberately done by Shang Ming. He needed time to secretly arrange some things, and he also needed time to destroy the evidence. That was why he came so late. And it just so happened that when they came over, they happened to see Kong Shinmu cleaning up the 2 demonic aura cracks at the same time. To the elders of the Holy Land who were at the peak of the Supreme God level, there was no doubt that this confirmed the fact that Jiang Shenwu was related to the demonic qi cracks. They knew very well how difficult it was to clean up these demonic aura cracks. How could this Kong Shinmu be able to clean up 2 demonic aura cracks at the same time? And in such a short period of time, a total of 3 demonic aura cracks. Previously, when the disciples of the Holy Land were surrounded by the demonic creatures, they had asked the elders for help. So they knew that there were 3 demonic aura cracks in this place. In the end, when they arrived, they found that one of the demonic aura cracks was gone, and the other 2 had just been cleaned up by Kong Shinmu. There was no doubt that there was something wrong with this Kong Shinmu. Therefore, they came to question Shang Ming. It was obvious that they didn't doubt what Shang Ming had said at all. "I didn't expect that the personal disciple of Emperor Shi would be someone who colluded with the demonic creatures. Today, let us, the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, kill you, this demon." A seemingly irascible elder could not help but stare fiercely at Kong Shinmu. He looked like he wanted to attack directly, but he was still a little afraid. Although they had so many people, Kong Shinmu's current situation was a little strange. Such demonic aura cracks that were difficult to clean up were completely cleaned up by Kong Shinmu in 2 hours. This person must have some special ability. Moreover, in their eyes, It was very likely that this Kong Shinmu was able to create so many demonic aura cracks in the entire Dragon Martial continent. It was very likely that it was related to the forces behind these demonic creatures. Then it would not be so easy to get rid of Kong Shinmu. Therefore they were a little afraid because of this. Unfortunately, Shang Ming was still a little bad at doing things. The place where he had imprisoned Shang Lu had actually been discovered by Xueqi and Yu Tianchong. This also meant that everything that Shang Ming had said would be proven to be false. Kong Shinmu was not too nervous. He asked lightly, I remember that other than Shang Ming, there was another girl called Shang Lu. Where is she? You still have the face to ask this question? The long-bearded divine dragon elder's face immediately darkened. Didn't you kill her? Today, we are here to seek justice for her. At the mention of Shang Lu, the elders and dragon martial artists at the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God realm were all filled with righteous indignation. Chapter 55-74. Kong Shinmu glanced at Shang Ming and smiled faintly. This guy probably didn't know that Su Yi and the others had already found Shang Li's location. If not for Su Yi and the others' help, Jiang Shenwu would probably have encountered some trouble now. As for now, there was no trouble at all. He looked at the grief-stricken long-bearded divine dragon elder and said, I killed Shang Lu? I'm afraid you're all mistaken, right? What if I said that Shang Lu is still alive and well, and is even imprisoned by someone? As soon as this was said, everyone's expression changed. What was going on? Shang Lu was still alive? You mean you didn't kill Shang Lu? The long-bearded divine dragon elder immediately became nervous. Shang Lu was his disciple. Although he thought more highly of Shang Ming, he was also the one who had trained Shang Lu. Of course, in his heart, it was very likely that 10 Shang less could not compare to 1 Shang Ming. But if Shang Lu was not dead this time, he would naturally be happy. Why would I kill a girl for no reason? Kong Shinmu leisurely sized up Shang Ming in the crowd and found that there was a hint of panic in Shang Ming's feigned grief and indignation. Obviously, he also realized that there was something wrong with his actions. Originally, he should have killed Shang Lu directly. But he had always liked Shang Lu. If he killed Shang Lu just like that, wouldn't it be too much of a loss? Therefore, he temporarily imprisoned Shang Lu in a secret place and then used the spiritual void storm restriction to prevent Shang Lu from leaving. Then he thought that after he killed Kong Shinmu, he would come back to enjoy this woman. At that time, in the eyes of others, Shang Lu would already be a dead man. Then, no matter how overboard he played, it would not matter. How great would it be to kill Shang Lu after the matter was over? Unfortunately, he now realized that this was a serious mistake. Because he coveted this woman, a flaw appeared in his perfect plan. Of course, he did not dare to say anything now. But his mind quickly turned and he quickly thought of a way to explain this matter. Of course, there was nothing to say for now. After all, he wasn't sure if Kong Shinmu had really found the location of the sacred music. Everyone, why don't you follow me? I'll take you to find Shang Lu. She's perfectly fine now, but she's been locked up by someone. Kong Shinmu shook his head and directly flew towards Su Yi's current position. As for who it is, I don't know. Anyway, it should be someone from your Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. After all, the seal that is trapping the sacred music is the legacy power of the Tempest Spirit Void Divine Dragon. Thus, it definitely has nothing to do with me. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew straight towards a certain direction. As for the people from the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, their faces were naturally dark as they followed behind Kong Shinmu. No matter what, Kong Shinmu was the disciple of Emperor Shi. Moreover, Jiang Shenwu's current strength was strange and unfathomable. Without absolute confidence, they really did not dare to shed all pretense of cordiality. Moreover, according to Kong Shinmu, Shang Lu seemed to still be alive. This seemed to mean that there was something hidden in this matter. Everyone, wait behind us. My 2 junior brothers and I will go and investigate. The long-bearded divine dragon elder said solemnly. If my junior brother and I meet with any accident, spread the news. Yes. Yes. Many of the elders stopped at the back. This Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land's great elder was very thorough in his considerations. He even suspected that this might be a trap that Kong Shinmu wanted to lure them over and capture them all in one fell swoop. Very quickly, the long-bearded divine dragon elder brought his 2 junior brothers and followed Kong Shinmu and the 3 girls, flying towards the valley where Shanglu was imprisoned. Shanglu could only watch them leave from afar, his heart a little anxious. Very quickly, Kong Xinmu and the others came to the entrance of the valley. He instantly felt that Su Yi's aura was nearby. This was only because of him. If it was anyone else, they really wouldn't be able to feel Su Yi's presence. His perception and hiding ability really exceeded the average dragon martial artist by too much. Come out. It's been hard on you. Kong Xinmu let the little princess come out from her hiding place, and then continued to lead everyone into the valley. Very quickly, they came to the deepest part of the valley. What appeared in front of them was impressively a storm spirit illusion dragon's inherited talent power. It was a storm restriction. And in the center of the restriction, there was a beautiful girl dressed in white. It was Shanglu. Save her first. Seeing this, the long-bearded divine dragon elder made a prompt decision to act. The storm spirit illusion dragon's inherited talent power suddenly rose. This restriction was left behind by Shanglu. And the long-bearded divine dragon elder was Shangli's master. Although there was no difference in cultivation between the two, in terms of the use of power and the use of dragon martial techniques, Shanglu could not compare to his master at all. Hence, under the bombardment of the long-bearded divine dragon elder's power, the storm restriction was directly destroyed. A female elder came forward and carried Shanglu out of the restriction. Great elder, she's fine. She just fainted. The female elder said with a sigh of relief. Now, we just need to wait for her to wake up, then we'll know what exactly happened. Kong Xinmu said casually. That's right. The long-bearded divine dragon elder nodded, but his expression was still very bad. Because, if Shanglu was really fine, then didn't that mean that Shanglu was lying? And this time, if Shanglu was lying, then it would be a big matter. After all, 8 of their Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land's disciples were killed. Shanglu said that Kong Xinmu killed them. But if Shanglu was lying, just to frame Kong Xinmu, then it was simply unimaginable. It was very likely that Shanglu killed his 8 junior brothers and sisters behind his back. The long-bearded divine dragon elder was somewhat unwilling to believe that his most promising disciple would do such a crazy thing. To him, Shanglu was the disciple who could inherit his mantle the most, and there was a high chance that he would break through to become a supreme expert in the future. As for him, his potential was almost exhausted, and it was almost impossible for him to break through to the supreme level. But Shanglu was still young, and his future was bright. The possibility of breaking through to the supreme level was still very high. At this time, he did not even consider the existence of Shanglu. In fact, Shangli's cultivation time was shorter than Shangli's, and the total amount of cultivation resources she consumed was also much less than Shangli's. Whether it was her character or talent, Shanglu was slightly better than Shanglu, and could even be said to be much better. Unfortunately, the long-bearded divine dragon elder turned a blind eye to this. In his eyes, Shanglu was just a foil to Shanglu. Now, even if Shanglu was likely to be knocked out by Shanglu and imprisoned here, he still did not feel wronged for Shanglu. And looking at the long-bearded divine dragon elder's expression, Xueqi, Yu Tianchong, and the rest were a little disgusted. Did this great elder of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land look down on female disciples that much? He was actually so biased. Then, everyone left the valley together. Now, naturally, they had to find Shanglu and confront her face to face. Or wait for Shanglu to wake up. Then they could ask her about the specific situation. No matter what, this matter had to be resolved. Now that Kong Xinmu's attitude was very good, the elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land had no reason to target Kong Xinmu before the truth came to light. They could only first investigate the matter. Very quickly, they met up with the many elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land who had stayed in the previous area. Seeing that they had brought Shanglu back, many people heaved a sigh of relief. Only Shanglu pretended to be relieved, but at the same time, he became extremely nervous. Chapter 55-75. Everyone waited for a while. The long-bearded divine dragon elder had been rather worried, but he was not worried about Shanglu, but Shangming. Even though Shanglu had yet to wake up and was still unconscious, the long-bearded divine dragon elder even hoped that Shanglu would not wake up. It's not a good idea to keep waiting like this. The long-bearded divine dragon elder suddenly said, "In that case, let's split up first." There are still many demonic cracks in the Dragon Martial continent that need to be dealt with. Let's bring Xianglu back to recuperate first. Once the Dragon Martial continent matter is over, we'll deal with this matter. How about it? When he said this, Shang Ming's eyes lit up. That's not bad. In that case, no matter how things turned out, it would be beneficial to him. At most, he would not pursue Kong Shinmu's responsibility, because there was no evidence. And he would definitely be fine, because the elders would definitely protect him. If he went back to deal with it, Xianglu could start working on his side. At that time, as long as there was no problem with Xianglu, nothing would happen to Shang Ming. He could even insist that it was Kong Shinmu who killed the 8 disciples of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. However, how could Kong Shinmu let them leave just like that? Running away after slandering them? Was there such a good thing? Kong Shinmu said lightly, "There's no rush. Although Xianglu has yet to wake up, it's not difficult to investigate the truth of this matter. I will let our Holy Land elders come and investigate." Your Holy Land's elders? What's the use of coming? Shang Ming did not know the pros and cons and immediately sneered. However, the long-bearded divine dragon elder's expression changed. Because he knew that the 5 Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land had an elder who possessed the Mirror of Backtrack. That Mirror of Backtrack could use the aura of the scene to rewind what happened not long ago. It could be said to be especially useful at certain times. But now, to the long-bearded divine dragon elder, once the matter here was revealed by the Mirror of Backtrack, then the situation would be very bad. It could be said that the long-bearded divine dragon elder had basically confirmed in his heart that this matter should have nothing to do with Kong Shinmu. This made him a little sad, and could even be said to be very sad. But he would definitely not be willing to admit that there was a problem with his disciple in front of others. He would do his best to protect his disciple. Because he was a sage. If it was Xianglu, he would probably have personally dealt with him to get rid of him. There's no need to alarm the elders of your holy land about this. Thus the long-bearded divine dragon elder said indifferently, "Right now, everyone is united as one to save the Martial Dragon continent." Kong Shinmu, although you have done such a thing, this old man will still consider the bigger picture. I will not make things difficult for you now. You can leave first and deal with the demon Chi crack. These words, weren't they a little too righteous? Xueqi, who was at the side, almost couldn't help but curse out loud. That old fart. She muttered to herself. However, when Kong Shinmu was present, she would not suddenly jump out to scold him. In her opinion, this was not good for brother Kong Shinmu. Let Kong Shinmu solve everything by himself. As for Kong Shinmu, seeing that the other party was trying to delay for time, he casually said, "It's fine, it won't take up much time." On the contrary, if there is someone secretly causing trouble in the Martial Dragon continent, that is the most dangerous and irresponsible thing to the entire continent. So, this matter must be resolved first. Think about it, if I really killed the disciples of your Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, what if I go back and deal with Xianglu and Shang Ming? That's not good. So, it's best to investigate this matter clearly. If I killed your disciples, I am willing to be executed. But if not, then we naturally have to punish some of the black sheep, or at least chase them out of the Martial Dragon continent, don't you think so? When Kong Shinmu said this, many people around him were speechless. Could such an analogy be used? The long-bearded divine dragon elder immediately retorted, "I dare not, I dare not. I believe in little brother Kong Shinmu's character. After all, this Martial Dragon continent is little brother Kong Shinmu's hometown. Little brother can't really bring disaster to the entire Martial Dragon continent, right?" After saying so much, he was just trying to delay for time. Because the Mirror of Recall had a time limit. If too much time passed, what happened in this area would not be able to be replayed. At that time, all the truth would be buried. As long as there was no problem on Shang Li's side, then this matter could be completely thrown onto Kong Shinmu's head, and Kong Shinmu had no way to wash away the suspicion. In the eyes of the people of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, once it was proven that Shang Ming had actually killed 8 disciples of their holy land, that would be a huge matter. It would cause the reputation and face of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land to plummet, and it would even cause the entire Holy Land to panic and become completely chaotic. So they absolutely could not let anyone prove that it was Shang Ming who did this. And as for Kong Shinmu, They naturally had to criticize him severely. After throwing the blame onto Kong Shinmu's head, how to deal with it would be up to Emperor Shi and the Divine Dragon. They did not particularly care about the problem of Kong Shinmu's punishment. What a pity! Kong Shinmu had long seen through the other party's tricks. Delay for time first? Dream on. From the beginning, Kong Shinmu had already sent a message to the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious Ice Holy Land, explaining the matter here. He needed the elders to come over and use the Mirror of Recall to prove Kong Shinmu's innocence. When the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious Ice Holy Land heard this, how could this be? Their own genius disciple was actually framed for killing 8 disciples of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land? This was simply preposterous. The elders of the 5 extreme mysterious Ice Holy Land immediately put down what they were doing, temporarily handing over the matter of the crack in demonic chi to someone else. After all, they knew that Kong Shinmu's speed in dealing with the crack in demonic chi was very fast. But now that Kong Shinmu had been framed and could not do anything, the sooner they helped Kong Shinmu resolve this matter, the sooner Kong Shinmu could continue clearing the crack in demonic chi. Moreover, 6 of the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious Ice Holy Land had already gathered together and were rushing over. They were afraid that the other party would use force to suppress them, so the 6 elders had moved out together. Very quickly, the long-bearded divine dragon elder of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land was still wrangling, wanting to leave first and delay for time. But the 6 elders of the 5 extreme mysterious Ice Holy Land had already appeared on the horizon. 6 mighty divine dragons tens of thousands of feet long were rapidly flying towards this valley. When the elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land saw this, their expressions changed. And Shangming still did not know the pros and cons. He sneered and said, "What's the use of calling people? Can calling people cover up the fact that you killed the disciples of our holy land?" "Shut up." The long-bearded divine dragon elder finally could not bear it and scolded him. If the Mirror of Recall made a move, the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land would very likely encounter a terrifying storm. Chapter 55-76. At this moment, the long-bearded divine dragon elder knew that Kong Shinmu had already made up his mind. He would definitely let the elder of the Mirror of Retrospection come. Therefore, he had almost no other choice. Or he could wait for the elder of the Mirror of Retrospection to come and announce the truth. And this truth, in the eyes of the long-bearded divine dragon elder, was very likely to be Sage's mistake. Since that was the case, he must not let the truth be announced. The only way now was to directly capture Kong Shinmu by force and take Kong Shinmu and the others away. Before the elder of the Mirror of Retrospection arrived, he could avoid making any noise. Once the Mirror of Retrospection allowed them to go back in time, they would no longer have anything to fear. So at this moment, the long-bearded divine dragon old man suddenly transformed into a dragon, turning into the body of a tempest spirit void divine dragon, sweeping towards Jiang Shenwu with the force of a sudden clap of thunder. Without any words, he attacked violently. Everyone in the surroundings was shocked. He actually attacked Kong Shinmu as an elder of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. This was completely bullying the younger generation. How shameless! Yu Tianchong and the others' expressions changed drastically. They had not expected that the other party would attack directly, completely disregarding his dignity as an elder. However, good timing, haha. Kong Shinmu was not afraid at all. He turned into a pitch-black divine dragon body on the spot and charged toward the long-bearded divine dragon elder. He did not retreat but advanced. Except for Xueqi, almost no one present had expected this. Even Yu Tianchong did not expect Kong Shinmu to be so fierce. One must know that the other party was an elder of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, and a true peak supreme god elder. This elder was much more powerful than a peak supreme god demonic being. After all, elders of this level all had a series of self-defense treasures on them. They were not comparable to 1 or 2 demonic beings. Next, the long-bearded divine dragon elder came with the momentum of a storm. The whirlwind shook the heavens and the earth, and it had already enveloped Kong Shinmu's entire black dragon body. However, at this moment, when everyone thought that Kong Shinmu was about to be subdued and taken away, a wave of terrifying demonic aura emanated from Kong Shinmu's body, condensing into a terrifying demonic aura. Supreme 10-directional devil seal. Kong Shinmu brazenly made his move. He immediately took out the saint-grade weapon of heaven and earth with 9 layers of seals unlocked. Waves of terrifying demonic aura swept out in all directions at this moment. The long-bearded divine dragon elder had not expected such a scene to appear. The expression in his pair of divine dragon eyes was incomparably shocked. You actually used the Fiend Celestial Team's Heaven and Earth sacred item. Most importantly, it was a Heaven and Earth Saint grade that had already unlocked all 9 layers of seals. This was something that he did not expect. After all, no one knew that Kong Shinmu had obtained the Extreme 10-Directional Devil Seal. Furthermore, the value of a Heaven and Earth sacred item that had unlocked all 9 layers of seals was terrifying. How could it be obtained by a junior? As strong as Emperor Shi's mystical dragon was, it was only after Kong Shinmu obtained that Heaven and Earth sacred item that the entire dragon god race unlocked all 9 layers of seals for Emperor Shi's mystical dragon. It was not that easy for Emperor Shi's mystical dragon to unlock all 9 layers of seals. But now, even the disciple of Emperor Shi's mystical dragon, Kong Shinmu, already possessed a Heaven and Earth sacred item that had unlocked all 9 layers of seals. Without waiting for the long-bearded divine dragon elder to resist, the terrifying demonic aura that originated from the Supreme 10-Directional Devil Seal had already mercilessly passed through his Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land body. Although Kong Shinmu did not release the full power of the Supreme 10-Directional Devil Seal, the long-bearded divine dragon elder could already feel the terrifying power within. It was not something that a super divine dragon like him could withstand. Furthermore, even a supreme divine dragon powerhouse would not be able to withstand the full power of the Extreme 10-Directional Devil Seal. Of course, now that Kong Shinmu was in the Dragon Martial Continent, it was impossible for him to release all of its power. But just the portion of the demonic aura that he released was enough to severely injure the long-bearded divine dragon elder. The next moment, the power of the storm condensed and protected the long-bearded divine dragon elder's mystical dragon body. However, he was still pierced through by the boundless demonic aura, and was completely pierced through from the mystical dragon body. The entire Storm Spirit Illusion divine dragon body flew out like a kite with a broken string, crashing into the wilderness behind him. Amidst the loud bang, everyone in the surroundings fell into silence. The long-bearded divine dragon elder from the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land did not die. But, after receiving such a heavy blow from Kong Shinmu, he was already seriously injured. You! Kong Shinmu! How dare you injure my master? Seeing this, Sheng Ming's entire face turned pale. He was originally very dissatisfied with Kong Shinmu. But he did not expect that this Kong Shinmu would be so decisive, severely injuring his master in front of everyone, and even using the Fiend Celestial Group's Heaven and Earth sacred grade. Why wouldn't I dare? Kong Shinmu glanced at him, still maintaining the pitch-black mystical dragon body. His pair of mystical dragon eyes were filled with coldness as he looked at Shang Ming. You killed your own disciples and even kidnapped your own junior sister, just to frame all of this on me. How vicious! Today you must die! As soon as he finished speaking, Shang Ming felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He did not doubt Kong Shinmu's words at all, because at this moment, he could already see the elders from the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land rushing over here as fast as they could from the distant horizon. The mystical dragons were howling in the clouds. A moment later, the elders had already arrived in front of the valley. What happened here? The elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land immediately asked. As for the elders of the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land, they were incomparably nervous now. It was not that they could not defeat the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land. Rather, it was that they could not defeat Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu had the Extreme 10-Directional Devil Seal, and he had already mastered it to the point of perfection, controlling all of its power perfectly. This made them very clear. If Kong Shinmu wanted to kill all of them, it would be easy. After all, the power of the Extreme 10-Directional Devil Seal had already far exceeded their limits. As for Kong Shinmu, he only needed to control the power of the Extreme 10-Directional Devil Seal and not exceed the limits that the current Dragon Martial Continent could withstand. Under such circumstances, the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land was at an absolute disadvantage in terms of martial power. Even if they wanted to help Shang Ming, they could not continue at all. Immediately. Chapter 55-77. At this moment, Even the long-bearded divine dragon elder had been seriously injured by Kong Shin-mu. The other elders of the stormy spirit illusion Holy Land only had one solution at this time. That was to cut all ties with the long-bearded divine dragon elder and Shang Ming. And when Shang Ming saw the kind-looking elder step forward, he immediately shouted, "Elder Xiao, Kong Shin-mu just injured my master, why is he still treating them so kindly? In my opinion, we should subdue them." "Shut up." The kind-looking elder's face immediately darkened. He used to think highly of Shang Ming, but after all, he was not his own disciple. So now that something had happened, he could completely escape. At this time, he could already see that Shang Ming had probably done nothing good. So he directly cut all ties with Shang Ming and his master. When the truth was revealed, he could completely stay out of it. Although if the truth was revealed, it would definitely cause the entire stormy spirit illusion Holy Land to fall into a true chaotic storm, but at least he could protect himself. Seeing this, Shang Ming was indignant and wanted to say something. In the end, the kind-looking elder immediately raised his hand, and a terrifying and tyrannical power swept out, sweeping towards Shang Ming. Shang Ming originally wanted to speak, but he was shrouded by this power, and he could not even say a word. He wanted to transform into a dragon to break out of the shackles, but at this time, the elders from the 5 extreme mysterious ice Holy Land had already moved. Although it was the long-bearded divine dragon elder who had been seriously injured by Kong Shin-mu, there was definitely a reason for this. How could they let Kong Shin-mu be bullied by people from other Holy Lands? Very quickly, the Mirror of Backtrack made its move. In this mountain valley, everything that had happened not long ago finally reappeared on the Mirror of Backtrack. The crowd were able to clearly see Shang Ming and the sacred music arriving at the ravine. Just as Shang Lu was feeling a little strange, Shang Ming suddenly made a move. After transforming into a stormy spirit illusion divine dragon, he brazenly attacked his junior sister Shang Lu. Shang Lu had no time to react at all, and was immediately enveloped by a terrifying restriction. "Junior sister, oh junior sister, who asked you to make things difficult for senior brother? You actually think so highly of that Kong Shin-mu?" Shang Ming, in the form of a storm spirit void divine dragon, looked down at Shang Lu who was imprisoned in the valley. "Junior sister, since it's like this, wait for senior brother to deal with that Kong Shin-mu, then come back and get intimate with you. He. After that, you don't need to live anymore." In the retrospective mirror, Shang Li's face was filled with disbelief. He had never imagined that Shang Ming would actually do such a thing. First, he imprisoned her, then he wanted to kill her. And the cause of this matter was Jiang Shenwu's appearance had made him feel that he was inferior to him. All of this was because of the long-bearded divine dragon elder's partiality towards the wise, causing him to develop the habit of being domineering. Even now, this kid has already committed a grave mistake. The kind-looking elder of the storm spirit illusion Holy Land had a solemn expression on his face. Everyone else from the storm spirit illusion Holy Land had ugly expressions on their faces. But at the same time, they expressed their opinions almost at the same time, drawing a line with Shang Ming. The elders split up, and then surrounded Shang Ming in the middle, preventing him from escaping. When Shang Ming saw that all of his actions had been replayed by the retrospective mirror, his face couldn't help but turn sinister. He immediately roared, "I only imprisoned my junior sister. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Even if I said some harsh words, I didn't do it in reality. If I wait for you to turn it into reality, it will be too late." The kind-looking elder said, "Shang Li's talent is not bad, far surpassing yours. If she is really killed by you, it will be the loss of the entire storm spirit illusion Holy Land." "What do you know?" Shang Ming roared out, "How can Shang Li's talent compare to mine? I am Master's most beloved disciple. You have no right to punish me." Kong Shin-mu looked at this person's crazy appearance and shook his head. This child's mentality was already out of balance, completely unlike a dragon martial artist. And this was because his master had spoiled him too much, which led to such a tragedy today. The 8 disciples of the storm spirit illusion Holy Land should have been killed by him. Look around, the retrospective mirror should still be able to find some clues. Kong Shin-mu said, and then nodded to the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice Holy Land. The elders also nodded their heads in agreement. Although this matter had nothing to do with the 5 extreme mysterious ice Holy Land, the other party wanted to use this to slander Kong Shin-mu, so it had something to do with them. Then don't blame them for interfering in this matter. Following that, the elders split up to search for clues, and the elders who had the retrospective mirror followed Kong Shinmu to the place where Shangming had gone before. They followed Shangming's tracks, moving forward. In the end, they found the scene of Shangming killing the 8 disciples of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. In the retrospective mirror, everything was replayed. In that scene, Shangming turned into a Storm Spirit Illusion Divine Dragon and looked down from above, enveloping the 8 unprepared Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land disciples with an endless storm. They had never thought that eldest senior brother Shangming would treat them so cruelly. Even Shang Lu, who was also at the 9th level of the Transcendent God Realm, was unable to withstand his sneak attack. Not to mention these disciples of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, whose cultivation levels were still very low. They were ambushed by Shangming and had no ability to resist at all. One by one, they were swept up by the terrifying power of the storm and torn to pieces. Remember, you all died because of Kong Shinmu. If you want to hate, then go and hate Kong Shinmu. After Shangming killed the 8 junior brothers, he left coldly. The scene in the Mirror of Recall caused all the elders of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land to have extremely ugly expressions. However, they were also a little glad. Before this, they did not easily stand on Shangming's side. It was still not too late to turn the spear around. The main reason was that the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder had been severely injured by Kong Shinmu. Thus, no one was so determined to defend Shangming. At this moment, the kind-looking old man did not hesitate at all and directly came in front of Shangming, who was surrounded in the middle. You have no right to punish me. My master. My master. Shangming's eyes were about to pop out of his sockets. He realized that he might be punished, and it would be a very serious punishment. He might even be suppressed and killed on the spot. At this moment, he finally remembered his master, the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder. Chapter 5578. When the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder was heavily injured by Kong Shinmu, Shangming had never thought of going to check on his master. Now he finally remembered. However, the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder had already fallen into a coma and could no longer stand up and speak up for Shangming. Furthermore, even if he could speak up for Shangming now, what was the use? Shangming, this kid, is vicious and merciless. He killed his fellow junior brothers and sisters and took 8 lives. He even tried to plot against Shangming and used this to frame little brother Kong Shinmu. He deserves death. Following the final solemn sentence of the kind-looking elder, the surrounding Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land elders finally joined forces and attacked together. They were very clear that they had to make a move now in order to draw a clear line between them and Shangming. Moreover, this move could make the storm of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land smaller. If Shangming was still alive and this matter was spread out, it would definitely make the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land infamous. This way, who would dare to send their children to the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land to cultivate? So, Shangming definitely could not be left alive. Once he was killed on the spot, then even if this matter was spread out in the future, everyone would feel that the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land had handled it well. It wouldn't bring too much of an impact to the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. And the real responsibility would be borne by the heavily injured long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder. After all, Shangming could be killed. However, the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder could not be killed. After all, he was an elder of the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land. Even if he was to be killed, it couldn't be the other elders who were also elders. It had to be done by a supreme expert. So the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder, who was related to this matter and doted on Shangming so much, would take full responsibility for this matter. The doting in the past would all turn into punishment and a heavy burden on his shoulders. Unfortunately, the long-bearded Divine Dragon Elder had already fainted from his heavy injuries. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood from anger. After all, he was not the only elder who doted on Shangming. The other elders also thought highly of Shangming, but in reality, the other elders only felt that it was possible for Shangming to break through to the supreme level and become a supreme expert, which was why they turned a blind eye to his actions. Yet now, that Shangming had actually committed such a terrifying act of harming his fellow disciples. As such, those elders simply did not dare to allow him to stay. After all, if he could kill his fellow disciples now, If he became a supreme master in the future, wouldn't it be a disaster for the entire dragon god's world? Perhaps they, the elders, would die in the hands of Xiangming one day. Hence, he was killed on the spot. The benevolent old man worked together with the other elders and sent a horrifying storm at Xiangming. At this moment, Xiangming had also transformed into a storm spirit void divine dragon, desperately resisting. He even took out many powerful dragon weapons. These dragon weapons were all supreme-grade dragon weapons that the long-bearded divine dragon elder usually forged and prepared for him. His combat strength was extremely strong. Unfortunately, no matter how strong he was, it was impossible for him to defeat the joint forces of several elders. In the short time it took to drink a cup of tea, Xiangming could not hold on any longer. Under everyone's gaze, he was finally swallowed up by the storm. There was no chance of survival. In the field, Kong Xinmu and the others finally heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they turned their attention to Shanglu, who was still unconscious. Very soon, the elders acted in unison and woke Shanglu up from his coma. "I am Xiangming Yu." She had just woken up, and her face was still pale. As if she had thought of something, she got up and looked around. In the end, she did not see Xiangming. Instead, she saw the elders of the Storm Spirit Void Holy Land and the elders of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land. Most importantly, she saw Kong Xinmu in the crowd. This person that she liked very much was here looking at her. "Where is Xiangming?" Shanglu struggled to get up with the help of a middle-aged female elder. She looked around, but did not see Xiangming, nor did she see her master. What had happened? Only then did the kind-looking elder tell her everything that had just happened. From the moment Kong Xinmu and the others discovered that she was imprisoned in this valley, to when Kong Xinmu came over and confronted the long-bearded divine dragon elder and Xiangming. Then to when Kong Xinmu directly injured the long-bearded divine dragon elder, and the appearance of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land's mirror of backtrack. Only then did the truth come to light. Then, Xiangming was killed. The long-bearded divine dragon elder was immediately brought back to the Holy Land for confinement. As for how he would be punished, it would all depend on the supreme Holy Land powerhouses. In any case, Xiangming actually killed a fellow disciple this time, which was a great taboo that could not be forgiven. The long-bearded divine dragon elder's position as an elder might not be stable anymore. When Shanglu understood everything, she could not help but feel her heart beat faster. "Thank you, Kong Xinmu. I didn't expect you to save me this time." Shanglu came in front of Kong Xinmu, and her pretty face finally regained some color. She was a little glad, and a little grateful. "It's no problem, it's nothing." Kong Xinmu smiled at her. After that there was nothing else. Kong Xinmu left with the girls. The internal affairs of the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land were left to them to handle. It had nothing to do with Kong Xinmu. Originally, this matter was caused by Xiangming trying to frame Kong Xinmu. Now that even Xiangming had been killed on the spot, there was naturally no need for Kong Xinmu to stay here. Very soon, he brought the girls and left the valley, preparing to continue clearing the demonic gale in the Dragon Martial Continent. However, what he did not expect was that Shanglu actually wanted to follow him. Kong Xinmu thought about it. After all, Shanglu was a peak god-level expert, so if she followed him, she could still protect Xueqi and the others. So he agreed. Thus, there was another Shanglu in the team, and, after this incident, Shanglu had the thought of leaving the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land. Of course, it was not that easy for her to leave the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land. After all, she had always used up a lot of the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land's resources. However, there was a way. Now that Kong Xinmu's reputation was like the sun in the sky, he could even heavily injure the elder of the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land on the spot. If she mentioned that she wanted to follow Kong Xinmu, then the Storm Serene Illusion Holy Land would most likely agree. Follow. When Kong Xinmu heard Shang-Li's thoughts, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.